Ralph, how are you?
I'm doing great, Yvonne. How about you? What you up to?
Oh, little of this, little of that, trying to keep up with everybody.
I can only imagine. You got 25 things going at once.
I wish I had 25 things going on at once. That seems like a
Oh
light
my
load.
God. Oh my goodness.
So today I'm really excited. We've been looking forward to chatting with this person for quite some time. We've had her on one of our live episodes at one of the conferences, but today we have Kirsten Kaiser Kus.
Yes, we do. She is a superstar. Great defense attorney up in Indiana. Working mom who really stays active with all of the sports and everything else that
You
her
are not
7-year-old.
kidding. Right.
But I just love her. She's so grounded. She understands this process well, and I've heard her provide counsel to some of her clients. Just amazing. Somebody who really keeps it real and trying to do right. So I really admire her.
So, listeners, you're in for a treat. Kirsten is really involved, as Ralph said, with educating. She's heavily involved in CLM. And today we are talking about all the different stakeholders in our industry. So let's go chat with Kirsten.
Let's do it.
Hi, Kirsten. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to catch up with you two.
Absolutely. So Ralph and I are in Tampa. And Kirsten, where are you joining us from?
I am in Valparaiso, Indiana. We had 2 days of 88 last week. We thought we made it. And then we were back down to 55 by Saturday morning.
Oh
So
boy.
it's been up and down and up and down.
So not sure when this episode will air, but for those listening, we're coming up on the last part of May. So same, it's getting hot in Tampa.
Yeah.
The evenings are still nice though. I'm still getting a nice little breeze at night.
Right. Yeah.
But hey, before we kick off, I want to make sure. So Kirsten, you are partner with Downey Lenkov LLC. Is that right?
Yes, I am an equity owner and I run the Indiana practice.
Awesome. And I know that you have several other things. You're very involved with CLM, and tell our listeners a few other things that you were just sharing with Ralph and I.
Yes, CLM. I've been involved with CLM for years. I think 2015 or 16 was my first year I went, and as a newbie to defense at that time, I had switched over from plaintiff's work. It was really a great place to meet people in the industry because otherwise I was coming in going, how do I network? How do I meet people? So I started attending CLM conferences. This last year, I've been teaching at Claims College, and I did the Litigation Management Institute, which was just mind blowing in a good way. Because you realize like how much you don't know outside your practice area, and you're in a room with, I think our group had like 7 or 8, and we all had different backgrounds, and you basically get this major catastrophic legal nightmare that happens with, excess coverages and additional insureds and this, and you've got to find a way to work through it and then present to a hot panel, the next morning. Then they give you updated facts for it to work through the next night and then another presentation the next day. So it was great. And you made some really, I mean, the connections of the people that were in your group are now forever. We joke that we trauma bonded because I mean, we were in our room till like 11:30 the first night, midnight.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was very complex. So yeah, it was a good experience. And now, once you do that, you can teach at Claims College, where the adjusters can go to get their different certifications. So, part of that. And then I won, I think it was in 21, I won CLM's Outside Defense Counsel of the Year. So, anything CLM needs, I'm always there. We just did the Women's Forum at Annual in Dallas, and it was a great conference. And I also do WCDI at WCI in August, where I always see you guys. And I think we had our last podcast at the last time I joined you guys. So that'll be coming up.
Yeah.
What else?
So
I
you're a working mom. You have a young son.
Yes. Yes. Jack is 7 and he is in all the sports and all the things. And I'm always there. And sometimes I just extend myself too much because now I'm president of Valpo Pop Warner. And we have now grown that to the largest association in Northern, which is, we're part of Mid America and National. And now, you know, we've upped our enrollment and teams because I just want to keep growing things. So that's where we are.
So
we
busy,
just
busy, busy.
Yes, we just finished flag season. I attended some cheer comps, which I am not a cheer mom. I'm a crazy football mom, baseball mom. And but I've got to support it all as president. So got all glittered up and went to some cheer comps and we just finished flag football season and now we're setting rosters for tackle season and getting all those things done and fall cheer and we did this great flagorama. It was on Saturday where the high school team, our state champion high school team, they won a couple years ago, 5A, they come and the high school players coach our little guys
Hmm.
and our high school coach. And it's just a fun day of like backyard flag football. We get food trucks,
Oh, good.
and just a good community, you know, thing for everybody.
That sounds awesome.
I love
Yeah.
it. I
Well,
love
Yeah.
well, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And we are going to talk about what are all these stakeholders doing in our workers' compensation system? Why do we have so
Yes.
many people involved? Just have a conversation about who are all these different folks that have their hands in the system and have a special interest in the system. And sometimes we think that it kind of causes the complications that we're all used to. So, Ralph, where do you think we should start?
So, Kristen, you've got incredible experience in comp, and you see it also from different jurisdictions, right? So you're
Mhm.
able to tell us a little of the difference from state to state. Give us sort of a landscape. Who's out there? Who is one of these stakeholders? Who's engaged? Who's got, something to fight about in this workers' comp system of ours?
There's so many. And I had no idea coming from the plaintiff side. My first 7 years was plaintiff work. So coming over to this, you're throwing out at me TPAs and carriers and, the insureds and, upper management at a round table for your adjuster, your nurse case managers, your actual plaintiff's attorney, hearing members. Like there are so many different factors, opposing counsel that can help a claim move forward or just completely tank it and make it
Mm.
so difficult. So it's a very unique system, and every state is so different. I am only licensed in Indiana, but from what I hear in from my partners in Illinois and Wisconsin, there's even over the state line so many differences. So that's why it's really important, and I preach this to my clients and potential clients that you have a defense counsel that you can trust and go to with questions. So, somebody that's not going to charge you every time they pick up the phone, they can help you get going in the right direction because one wrong filed form, anything like that, maybe you're defaulted. If you don't have somebody enter appearance before the Indiana Work Comp Board. Now, I feel like we can normally fix anything. Okay. But the problem is, I don't get the case probably until a year, 2 years after the fact, maybe right before the statute's coming.
Yeah.
And then I've got to try to undo if there's a mess or put evidence back together if there was an affirmative defense that had they from the beginning reached out, we could have said, secure, do this, this, and this. And even more importantly, accident prevention, like spending the time to educate your workers before you even get to that point. And people don't want to spend that money, but then if you don't, then you're going to spend money in your legal when these cases are blowing up. So you're going to spend it, just which way.
Yeah. Since you came from the plaintiff side, and
Mhm.
I'm thinking less number of stakeholders there. Let's start there for a
Yes.
minute, right? Who's
Yes.
on that side of the fence? If you're brand new to workers' comp, introduce me to the plaintiff side from a stakeholder position.
Yeah. So the plaintiff side is far less. Okay. And they really don't have an understanding of all that we're doing over here
Yeah.
and who we're dealing with and the metrics that we have to deal with, that we are graded on with our, carriers, and why we're doing what we're doing. But from that plaintiff side, I mean, just plaintiff's counsel, your injured worker, um, their relationship with the employer, because they're probably feeling wronged, and the employer's probably hearing, don't talk to them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of jading them. And your hearing member, obviously from that side, the medical providers, the nurse case manager, a good nurse case manager is gold, and she's going to help both sides. So, and then you have the biggest problem I see with that side is unrealistic expectations. Um, I had a boss when I started that didn't know too much work comp, kind of just threw me in. So very unrealistic expectations would be set with these people. And then I would come in and say, no, this is work comp. Like, do we have a third party case? No, then this is what it is. So setting those expectations early is big with them, but also family members sometimes are
Mm.
back there poking and prodding. I tell everybody every day, like, everybody's not a fraud. But sometimes it's just the lack of understanding from their part, or a plaintiff's counsel that doesn't take the time to explain it to them and lacks client control. And that's where a good mediator comes in sometimes when you get to that point.
So true. All of us probably
Yeah.
wish we would have met you early in our careers to
Yeah.
give us the skinny on that, because you are
It's so
so right
much.
about everything you just indicated. I love it.
So much. There's so many different, and it's on both sides. The key is communication. It's just, you have to communicate and explain it in a way that people understand. They don't care about the statute.
That is so true, right? And you already said it, unrealistic expectations, and you've got to come in to
Mhm.
educate. The statute doesn't allow for that. No, that benefit doesn't exist here. No, you're not eligible for that.
Right.
Here are the limited parameters under our state law and what you're able
Yes.
to claim and not claim. That's a
Yes.
huge component of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they just feel wrong. They feel injured, wrong, taken advantage of. But the system is what it is. And then you have some plaintiffs' attorneys. I feel like from the defense side, we are held to a higher standard. We are more accountable. We are threatened with bad faith. You know, our clients are always the big bad insurance company, but we still have a job to do. And we are judged on these metrics, and, how long we have a case open, how much is our legal spend, reserves, budget, all of that. And I could not believe we had a Indiana Work Comp Masters series, which I love that we are a small enough community in Indiana where we all get together 2, 3 times a year with our 6 hearing members, because there's 6 different parts of our state, our chair, Hamilton, who's the head of it all, and then the plaintiff's bar and the defense bar. And we present on various topics, and then we just pick each other's brains. And this last one was about, expectations from each side and what each side's dealing with. And Carla Hounshell, great defense attorney from down south, she went through she does a lot of trucking litigation and a lot of the hardcore metrics that she has to comply with every month, because or else she's getting, she's getting green check marks or red X's. And if you get too many, you're losing that client. And it's not even your fault, because plaintiff's not responding, the hearing member continued it again, and it's completely out of our hands. We can keep pushing, filing motions, doing this and that, but it's only what the hearing member and the board will do. So it gets frustrating, but so many of these older plaintiffs attorneys too just had no idea. Like, I'm not just filing a motion to compel for the fun of it. We have to show that we're doing a job and keeping this moving. And honestly, I don't understand how some of the plaintiffs bar is staying in business, because you have to settle those cases to make money. They're
Mm.
contingent. I remember my old boss would say, you got to keep the train going down the tracks. You got to keep the train, you know, got to settle, settle, settle. And they are not of that same mentality. And it makes it very hard.
So Kirsten, tell us, so you're referring to the plaintiff's bar, which in your state, you refer to the injured worker attorney as a plaintiff. In
Yes.
California, we call that the applicant's attorney. In
Yes.
Florida, we call that the claimant's attorney. Ralph, are there any other terms that I'm missing as far as what we refer to the injured worker attorney?
I'm sure there are. I am sure there's other states that call it something else
in
out
Illinois, my partners call him the petitioner.
there. Petitioners,
And what is the board for me, the Indiana Work Comp Board in Indiana, is the commission in Illinois. So that's about all I could speak to, because
I just know I know
else.
that there are other terms, but generally what we're talking about is the attorney. There's two attorneys involved, one representing the injured worker, one representing the employer. And so now go ahead, Raphael, let's go down the path of the defense attorney.
Yeah, so I wanted to figure out on the defense side, and certainly it's more than the attorney, right?
So
Who are
many
the stakeholders on that side of the fence?
Oh my gosh. So let's think. You have your employer, okay? With your employer, or as our insured, we call them, they might have a broker, agent, various, some of my carrier clients, they are more involved than others. Within your client's structure, you might have a small mom and pop, or you might have mega huge that has to go all the way up the chain for certain levels of authority that you're reporting to. You will have your insurance company carrier who is, retaining us to represent the insured client. That is often a delicate balance, because, they need to be on board when you're coming up with a plan. You want everybody looped in and always aware of what is going on. So it's important when my attorneys and I get a case that we make all these points of contact, so they know who we are, what we're doing. Let's set a call, and we can move forward on that. You have, the work comp board. You have the hearing member that you're in front of. Sometimes you'll have an ombudsman if you have a pro se plaintiff, which sometimes I wish a pro se plaintiff would lawyer up, because I have one right now that's going to a full and final hearing on Wednesday, and he's produced no evidence, none. And he, it's going to be for an interesting day. So, and he told me that I had to compel him to give him adequate information to produce to me. So, it's kind of talking in circles. So there's that. We also have, our medical providers in Indiana. We direct medical care. That's our superpower. So it's very important for my clients to know, even before I get a case, call me if you need a recommendation for a conservative upper extremity doctor in Indianapolis. There are nurse case managers. I don't, they're not necessary on every file, but on something catastrophic, on something red flag, problematic, getting a good nurse case manager involved. You have TPAs on some of these. I'm trying to think. We have our, HR and risk managers within some of our insureds as well. And then, the attorney has to, I think, kind of like orchestrate it all to, once we're involved, make sure everybody is on the same page. I just had a really difficult COVID death mediation last week. And that one had a widow with twin sons, but then there was a daughter from another marriage. So there was a lot of different competing interests with percentages, and a widow who lost her husband who needed her day to just let it out. And it was an all or nothing case, you know? So that mediator really did a great job in getting that done. So a good mediator too. Did I miss anybody? I feel like that's a lot,
It
Mhm.
is. It is.
a lot of people. And then you'll have people like you that help us with Medicare. We have our vendors, different clients want different vendors used for, document requests, subpoenas, court reporters. So then you have to work within your client guidelines for all of that. And then we just know Medicare is just always there, just always looming in the background.
From that vendor perspective, right? Because it's a window that once it opens up, you start thinking about, oh wait, it's more than just medical providers.
Mhm.
There are quite a number of vendors, for example, durable medical equipment and transportation and translation providers. I mean, we could go on and on about the number of entities that are needed in a claim that
Right.
must be brought in to provide the right service.
Whole modifications if you don't have the right one there. And that's where a very skilled nurse case manager
Yeah.
can really help coordinate all of that.
What do you think, Yvonne? Have we confused folks enough with all of these different entities, all of these different folks that are touching this individual, this injured worker?
Probably, but I mean, that's part of the point, is that it is a complex system. And as we've mentioned in other episodes, things vary from state to state. And so the way in which things are done in one state aren't exactly the way they're done in other state. I kind of want to go back. I mean, we've got the obvious players, but I kind of want to go back. You mentioned the broker. We all know what brokers do, but for folks that are new to the industry, the insurance broker is the person that helps the employer find the right policy. Is that correct?
Correct.
So how would an attorney like you be engaging with the broker?
Sometimes the agent broker, they're very involved because they have a closer relationship due to frequent need. Maybe they're a platinum level because they need such a high policy. So they're kind of put on a pedestal, and this is your account. You're going to be in here. Sometimes they will be on a claim review because they are watching, what their ratings are and what they can do to prevent this, going forward. So, like I said, it's only one or two clients of mine that the agent broker is involved, but the rest we don't normally have them. And sometimes they help you when you have an unreasonable insured. And my adjuster's going, help me get through. Maybe we can get through, to them, because everybody wants to get on the phone and scream, they're stupid. They knew better. Okay, but stupidity does not bar compensability.
Mm.
Okay, and they want to say because they violated a safety rule, but in Indiana, that's an affirmative defense and it has to be posted. A posted safety rule. Simply training on it or signing off, not enough to deny it. And a lot of them get confused. with that.
Thank you. And tell us, and especially for our listeners, what's the difference between a mediator and an ombudsman?
Okay, so the Indiana Work Comp Board has our ombudsman. Now they are there to help the pro se plaintiffs, the ones that either refuse to get attorneys or that have popped through 5 different attorneys. And they're kind of there to help explain the process to them because they obviously aren't going to trust me. And sometimes they think the hearing member's out to get them too. So they kind of serve as that middleman somewhat. The mediator, now you can use one through the Indiana Work Comp Board, but I kind of get my favorites that I just know get things done, and I like to stick with them. They're tried and true. They know me, they know I know my stuff, and we're going to get it done 9 times out of 10. So we can do that. Now it can't be ordered in Indiana, but and I don't believe they use it in Illinois for work comp. But we can try to mediate. And that COVID death case was a great one to do. And we actually threw that on a quick, like an expedited mediation, because we had a full and final hearing June 2nd. And the Work Comp Board has finally re-implemented their 3-year deadline. So from the date that it was filed, that case must be done within 3 years, or you have to have a hearing or get it settled. So the the plaintiff's attorney dropped a second expert report on me about a week before our deadline to exchange evidence, and I said, okay, well, I'm not giving you my expert report now until I have my guy look at this, and then I'll get mine to you. So then we exchanged, and I said, now would you like to set this on a quick mediation, see if we can get it done? If not, we proceed to hearing on June 2nd. And we did. We got it done. And what did they say? A good mediation is one where everybody walks away thinking they gave up too much.
So, Kirsten, one of the things that confuses folks all over the country are the different layers of insurance coverage in a workers' comp claim, excess coverage, if you will, right? Give us a little bit about that. What's that all about? Who exactly are we talking about there?
Everybody. There's not just us coverage, but then we have, what if there's a third party? Okay, and we have a subrogation. Okay, you have a worker that's driving to somebody's house to take care of them. They're on the clock. They get hit by a negligent third party. Then you have a third party case against them. You want to assert your subrogation lien. Then I've had, because work comp wants to recover on their money. But then you have also situations where I have contractors out at, like a steel mill. They have to list that steel mill as an additional insured on their policy to go in and work there, because that steel mill knows they, are a lucrative place to work. So these people will sign off, put them on that policy. So then if they get sued for a third party claim from the work comp one, it's actually going to that contractor's general liability policy as an additional insured. And then people say, oh, well, it's the same pocket. No, it's not. Don't tell any insurance company that the work comp, the subro, and the GL are the same pocket, because they are all different and all want the money. They all want their money. So we have self-insured, we have certain clients that are self-insured up to a certain point. Then their excess coverage kicks in. So they are taking more of a role on about authority and such, because it's coming out of their pocket. We could go on all day on all of these nightmare scenarios.
It's true. I mean, it really is. You could
Yes.
teach a course just on that in and of
Yes.
itself, by itself. So, Kirsten, one of the things that I see all the time creates massive confusion, right, is an excess carrier who is still not here because the original entity is paying.
Yeah.
But that excess carrier is watching very carefully because the last thing they want is for this case to not get settled or spend more dollars and it becomes their responsibility. What about that scenario? Do you see that a lot? Is that something that happens?
Absolutely. And that's why documenting and providing updated settlement exposures every step of the way is key. If there is some key event, discovery responses, oh, wait, I found this in medical, a deposition, anything like that has to be reported. And I tell my attorneys all the time, you are not paid to regurgitate facts. You are there to provide exposure, analysis. What's this going to cost you if you don't settle for this now to take it to hearing? And what is your percentage chance of success? What are we going to have to deal with? What kind of fees? All of that. So it is documented in their file, because then they know, oh, we got to go notify excess. We've got to let them know. I always think phone calls are good. Phone calls get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think emails get misconstrued sometimes. And I like hopping. There's a lot of power behind a round table every quarter. Round tabling, your claims. I have one client, we have them every other month. Some of them want them every quarter. But sometimes it's just talking it through and bouncing those ideas. But yeah, you just have to document. You have to give them the information so they can be prepared, and then let excess know, okay, it's probably coming to you. Or, no, we're okay, you're fine. Don't freak out, excess.
So true. So very
yes.
true.
So I think we covered the gist of it. I mean, you might have mentioned it, but I don't remember hearing it. We obviously have judges involved at some point. I heard you mention hearing members. Of course, we have workers' compensation boards.
Yep.
Chat about that a little bit. How did those come into play?
So I always tell my clients, yes, I'm going to tell you what this hearing member is going to do. We've been in front of them. We kind of know what to expect, but I don't want you to make a decision on that. There is a full board that we can appeal to. We have 30 days if we don't like that decision. You are appealing to the same person that you are asking to overturn their decision. So that's always fun. You're like on a hot bench, okay, and getting asked these questions. If that doesn't go your way, then you can go to our state appellate court. So, but Indiana, we have the 6 different hearing districts. We are going to be losing one hearing member in August in our Southwest district. Hearing member Mayor is going to be retiring. So we are waiting to see who comes on, but it does have to be a Democrat and likely will be a former plaintiff's attorney, as most of them are.
Thank you. Ralph, did we miss anything?
And all of those, Kirsten, the appointments are generally made by the governor of that particular state?
Yes.
So we often see politics in workers' comp right in front of us, don't we?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were complaining about, cases not moving because, they were just, plaintiff's attorneys were letting people treat indefinitely until the end of time, even after board IMEs confirm them at MMI. And, how can we advocate for our clients? Well, thankfully, they heard our complaints, and the governor came down with a mandate about the 3-year deadline again to get these moving. So that was definitely a positive for us.
Awesome. Well, we are at that time where we need to wrap it up. So
That's
Kirsten,
great.
thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge and expertise with us.
Yes, anytime. Thank you for having me. I know it's always fast and furious. There's so much we could talk about forever, but I appreciate you guys always having me and what you're doing to educate everybody on comp.
Well, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you soon in August at WCI.
Yes, we should grab dinner.
For sure.
For sure.
Kirsten,
Always a pleasure.
I am a big fan. You know it. Yvonne knows it, and because I have said it publicly, I just think you are
Aw.
the best. You understand this world of ours so well, and maybe because you've had nice experience on both sides of that fence, you really do understand the roles. You understand the concepts, the ideas, and how everybody can play in to try and get it resolved. And I really appreciate that. Like you, I've had experience on both sides, and it does allow you different perspectives that you never thought, because if you're only focused on the one, you don't quite understand the other.
Absolutely.
So I'm always marvel. I've listened to a number of your presentations over the years here. You are an amazing educator, and your experience shows. So thank you so much for all you do also to educate our industry.
Thank you
Yes,
guys so
and
much.
yes, and you mentioned it at one point in here. So with all these different stakeholders involved, it is, and we've been saying this a lot lately in all the webinars and different things that I do. We can't emphasize enough how important communication is, right?
Yes.
We must communicate in order to keep things on track and make sure that they don't completely go off the rails.
100%. You got to put it out there, or it's not going to be good. Got to put it out there for everybody. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to chat with you again soon. And until later, hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
All right. Take care. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good
Thank
one.
you.